Hello there. I'm going to take the political compass test. Now I know none of you asked for this video. None of you have really asked for any videos. I don't expect to get many views on this. I am making this video simply for like a preemptive self-defense for when I make political videos further on down the road. I've made a few political videos, and it would seem like from the titles of those videos, not really from what I say in the videos, but at least from the titles, that I might be a right-winger, that I may be a conservative. I don't think I'm a conservative. A lot of the woke left, the SJWs, the identitarian leftists, they act as if I am a right-winger, and I guess this video is to prove them wrong. Not that any of them will watch this, so I'm curious to see where I end up, because, I mean, I claim that I'm a liberal, but I mean, with the amount of times I get called a right-winger online here for some of the positions I take about identity politics, I've stayed relatively the same on the political compass, but maybe the compass itself has shifted. Maybe I'm more conservative now. I don't know. Anyway, when I make a political video in the future, I'm going to link to this video. That's all this video is for. It is to be linked in future videos. So if you've come to this video because I linked it in a future video, then I've already wasted enough of your time already. Let's just get on with this test here. Basically what this says here is that the questions are intentionally vague and to not, overthink your answers. I have a feeling I'm going to do this anyway, so I apologize in advance for that. And I also apologize, I should have said this already, for this and this. And thank God there's enough shadow you can't see this disgusting neck. Anyway, let's get on to the first question here. Okay. If economic globalism is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Yeah. I'll strongly agree with that. Why that? Okay, I think most people would agree with that. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Okay, there's that vagueness they were talking about. I see. I'm not gonna say strongly disagree because even things like, like the war in Iraq. At first glance, it looks good, and then at second glance, it looks bad again when you look into it. But the more you really look into it, you sort of see that there were things in motion that had to happen, sort of like Vietnam too. Like the first couple of years where it seemed justifiable. You have to fight communism, but then after a while, they should have pulled out. But then they had to save political face. And see, I'm doing exactly what they told me not to do, and I'm overthinking it. So I'm just going to say, I disagree. It's probably what they're looking for, and I think I would. When a country fucks up and there's clear evidence for it, you should call it out no matter what. Okay, no one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I strongly agree with that. That is a sentiment that is lost on many people. No one chooses their race or sexual orientation either, so it's also pretty foolish to be proud of that also. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. The fact that you happen to be born into a certain race or in a certain country, I think it'd be stupid to, claim superiority for yourself just because certain achievements have happened in average in other races. I'm just not going to touch this topic. I'm going to strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I strongly disagree with that there. I mean, just think about the 80s, who was the main enemy of the United States? It would have been Russia. Russia was taking over Afghanistan. I mean, the enemy of our enemy in that case was the Taliban. That didn't work out too well. It doesn't take much thought to see where I'm coming from with that answer there. Okay, military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I mean, I suppose I should say agree, but I would say agree if it is justified sometimes. I mean, some cases I kind of want to go with strongly agree, but I don't know. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Okay. Moving on, next page. Alright, so now this is about the economy. That was, okay, so each page is different things. That was about the country and its place in the world, and gotcha. Alright. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I mean, yeah, probably. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Disagree on that. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I agree. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need, is a fundamentally good idea. To each according to his ability, to each according to his need. I mean, I don't want to strongly agree with that, because that sounds like... God, I wish there was something like in between agree and disagree, you know, like There needs to be like an answer, you know. I'm just gonna agree. The freer the market, the freer the people. I mean, it depends how you're defining freedom amongst the people. It seems like when corporations and people that are motivated by profit when that's all they're doing is, you know, trying to chase more profit, it seems they don't really care about I'm going to disagree. I'm not going to strongly disagree. I'm really not going to strongly agree or disagree in any of these, because economics is so confusing. And I know I'm already thinking about this too much. They say to just go with it and I'm not listening to its rules. Okay. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but also, like, they don't have to be so fucking lame about it. Like, the fact, the way that it is worded is it's gonna disagree. Like, freaking, do you expect water to not have, like, some value, especially in places where there is no water? Like, you know, if you were dying of thirst, you'd chop off a hand to get a bottle of water. So of course it's going to have some, and I know, yeah, it should be free. In a perfect world, shit like water should always be free. It shouldn't be a consumer product. But I mean, like, you know, grow up. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I mean, here's the thing with everything being public. Like, I understand that certain things should be public, that, like, a government should regulate it because people are greedy and bullshit. I get that. But, like, I mean, have you ever seen what people do to land that, like, they don't own, like, after a festival? Like, people treat shit that they don't own like shit. You know what I'm saying, okay? I don't... Land shouldn't be bought and sold. I disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Well, I mean, manipulating money in a way is sort of... You could be contributing to a society. I mean, I guess it is regrettable. I mean, a lot of the economy is just fake money. It's just... And I guess it's regrettable or whatever, but I also don't really... If there were a better way of doing it, then we'd probably be doing it that way. I guess it's a journey that we are on, and I'm sure it will be better later on, hopefully. I'm just gonna agree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I mean, yeah. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. That's the question, isn't it? That is the question. Again, I'm leaning more towards because, again, it is a company. That is their job. But I'm gonna disagree because, like, at the end of the day, we should try and all be decent and moral. And, you know, if you're poisoning a village in South America to make room for your banana crops or whatever, you're probably... That's... I mean... You get what I'm saying? The rich are too highly taxed. I'm going to disagree on this one. Seems like, what is it, like Amazon hardly paid any taxes at all. I think that the tax system in the United States and the world really is kind of broken. Maybe. Like, I don't know. No one know. I don't... Strongly disagree. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Ooh. See, this is another one of those... I mean... In a perfect world, everyone would have the highest standard of medical care, but, like, what good is money if you can't actually exchange it for the power that it supposedly is worth? So, I know it's unfair, I know it's shitty, but... gonna have to agree. Not strongly agree, though. Not just agree. And again, if there were something in between disagree and agree, I would click that. Government should Penalize businesses that mislead the public. I mean, I want to say strongly agree, but what do you mean by mislead? I mean, just about every single business in a way misleads a little bit. Like, do you really think the bar is going to make you lose weight? Do you really, is that, I'm just going to go with normal agree instead of agree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I mean, I guess a genuinely free market wouldn't really have any restrictions at all. But I guess then I think monopolies are kind of shitty, kind of like an aspect of human nature that's just sort of bound to happen that we should constantly be resisting. So I guess that means we really shouldn't have genuinely free markets. But I don't think that's what this question is asking. So I'm just gonna say agree. Okay, next page. Some of your personal social values. This will be fun. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly disagree. Abort all the babies. All authority should be questioned. All authority? I think authority should give you a reason to question it. But then again, I am pretty skeptical. Yeah, why can't there just be like a neutral? Just neutral. It's either like, do you automatically question any sort of authority at all, just slightly, just because it is authority, or do you wait for that authority to do something wrong before you then question it? Because the word I don't like here is the all. All authority should be questioned. I'd be lying if I said disagree. Like Taco Bell says 100% beef, and I'm like, bullshit, Taco Bell. I don't fucking trust you. Like, who am I kidding here? Of course, it's agreed. Question everything. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Yeah, I agree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Strongly disagree. The value of certain things sometimes you just can't define by money. Shit that goes on in theaters and museums is a good example of that. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Well, that's fucking dumb. Of course it should be. Who's gonna just like choose to go to school? Nobody wants to go to school. Well, kids, you have the option. You can either learn about fucking geometry and calculus, or you can just go play outside. Like, of course it should be compulsory. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. I don't think dance clubs should have the People of Color night, which has been suggested by SJWs today. Much like how I don't think, they should have done that with drinking fountains in the 40s and 50s. So, gonna have to strongly disagree with that one. And also, like with cultural appropriation, I think it's fine that little white kids wear Native American costumes. I think it's fine that I can dress up like a samurai. I never fucking would dress up like a samurai. I know I look like the sort of person that does, but you know what I'm saying? Like, cultures are meant to be shared, and people should treat it as a compliment and not racism to be outraged about. Like, that's all bullshit. Everything mixing together is beautiful to me, and well, if you disagree, then fuck, just kidding. Then that's fine. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I agree. I wish I would have been hit more. It's natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. I'm gonna have to strongly agree with that one. If I completely listened to my parents growing up and never did anything behind their back, any sort of sneaking or anything, I would be a far less interesting person than I am now. And I'm really not that interesting, so, And but maybe if they would have fucking hit me more, it wouldn't have had to have come to this. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Gonna have to strongly agree with that one. I mean, it's a fucking drug. What someone wants to put into their own body, if it doesn't affect anyone else, then why shouldn't they be able to do it? The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. I mean, should it be that? That pretty much is what it is. But like, when you say find jobs, it makes it sound like this evil capitalist. We're just training the obedient workers, like that George Carlin bit. But really, it's not so much to find jobs. I mean, it is to find jobs, but finding a job essentially means like playing a functioning part in society. So, I mean, that kind of is what schooling is for. If we didn't... I get where they're coming from with this one, and I know they're probably going to chart me accordingly on the compass, but whatever. I'm just going to agree that is the prime function of schooling. Like, sorry. We can't all be poets, kids. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. I was really hoping I could get through this thing without talking about eugenics. Okay, so, like, in a way, I think it's kind of silly that someone has to take a test and jump through all these hoops and all of this training to be able to drive a car when they can just have kids freely, as many as they want, whenever they want. Because bringing a child into this life can have far more damaging effects on society than anything you could do in a car. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be trained to drive a vehicle. I'm just saying, like, you know, there are certain hoops you have to jump through to have before you are given serious responsibilities in society, and there's no responsibility more serious than bringing a child into this world. And is there a way for that ever to be regulated? Not really, without having a crazy authoritarian, like, dystopian government that tracks who's allowed to breed and who isn't. And I don't trust any sort of bureaucratic system to manage that. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, certain people probably shouldn't be allowed to have children. But there's no real way to ever get there. And again, this is another one of the answers, but, like, what sort of serious inheritable disability? Like, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you are guaranteed if you have a child, he's going to come out of the womb with 5 eyes and he's going to spend his entire life in just debilitating pain. That person probably shouldn't. I don't know. Okay, Jesus. Okay, I'm just gonna disagree before I say something really stupid. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Normally, I would say no. I would disagree with this, but the way that I'm seeing children act today, as in, you know, like, expecting to be bailed out of jail when they burn down a Wendy's, I'm going to have to agree. Children today might need a little more discipline, a little more acceptance of discipline. There are no savaged and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Yeah, different cultures with varying levels of savagery. Sorry. Particularly, like, you know, you look to acid attacks in the Middle East, or little girls that get their clits cut off just for happening. No, fuck you. There are certain things that are right or wrong. I don't give a shit what your religious book says. You gotta call out barbarism and savagery when you see it. Let's not be all bleeding heart. Let's not tiptoe around the issue here, okay? It's not just their culture. And if it is just their culture, then their culture is shitty. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I mean, again, there's a lot of vagueness here, but basically the picture they're painting here is the welfare rat. And if this welfare rat is that exact archetype of a person who, then yeah, I guess I agree. When you are troubled, it's better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. So this is like the Brave New World Soma question, right? I mean, no, I probably should figure out why you're troubled, what's going on, and you should work to, fixing it. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I'm going to have to disagree on that one. It is up to the individual immigrants. I'm not about to, paint an entire group of something with a broad brush. That'd just be silly. There are many first-generational immigrants that are far better Americans than most Americans, so... What's good for the most successful corporation is always, ultimately, good for all of us. Well, I mean, they're using such hyperbolic language in this one right here. I'm just going to have to strongly disagree. Like, there's definitely a trend of, successful business, GDP growth, blah, blah, blah. That's going to lead to, it's going to be good for the public. But just the language they're using there, I'm going to have to strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Yeah, I'm going to strongly disagree with that one because, well, I mean, the profit motive can really fuck things up, especially when it's like information. You get people pandering, catering to this, what they think their audience wants to hear instead of actually saying the truth. Nobody chases the truth anymore. And that's not to say that this is strictly because of a lack of publicly funded broadcasting institutions, because it's not. I mean, NPR for the most part is pretty much dog shit. It's incredibly biased. It's incredibly skewed to the left, and everybody knows it. So you can't even really trust that. I mean, if anything, there should be more. We should have competitors with NPR, not necessarily, competing for profit, but compete. I don't fucking know. We need more broadcasting institutions that care about the truth, and I think you can get closer to the truth when you're not only motivated by profit, when you're motivated by the truth itself. That probably doesn't make any sense. Probably sounds really stupid. I'm just going to go to the next page. Let's all move on. Okay, how you see wider societies. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. There isn't that much in the Patriot Act that I disagree with. Like, I'm going to disagree there. That's going to get me some authoritarian points there. But the NSA and the CIA, they've prevented hundreds and hundreds of terrorist attacks. We just don't know about it. And they do that by essentially spying on mosques, spying on networks of Islamic individuals who they feel are a bit extreme, and I'm completely okay with it. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay progress in a democratic... Okay, that is not an advantage. We need arguments. Okay, we need the debate. We need the back and forth. That is where the truth, or something resembling the truth, is found. It is in that compromise between two parties. That's what makes the two-party system so good. Because if you have a three-party, it's easier for one party to be like the main one, the mainstream, and then the other ones sort of fall behind. But with there being two that so evenly divides the people, it's bad when there's too much division like there is now, but it's also great because there's never a clear majority. It's red versus blue. And the purple, that where they meet in the middle, is usually where the progress is found. So I'm going to have to strongly disagree with this one. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I mean, I'm very much a wrongdoer, so I need to take that into consideration. It being totally, I guess in a way I agree, because I mean, like really, who cares? Okay, not only is there a possibility of wrongdoers to be in front of the camera, there's also the possibility of wrongdoers, watching the screen. So I guess I'm gonna have to disagree with that. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Jesus, this question I go back and forth on, because clearly there are certain things that someone could do that deserve death. The punishment for, like raping and murdering a child or something like that is obviously death. You are so sick in the head, you are so far gone, there is no possible way that we could rehabilitate you. For the sake of the people you've affected with this crime getting a sense of justice, and just for the sake of society at large for never, ever, ever having you influence in any way ever again, it totally makes sense to just remove them from the equation entirely. But with that being said, I don't know if we should necessarily have the state with the power. Fuck it. Agree. Kill more of them, Texas. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I guess the real question is, are there good measures in place that select who is to be the ones obeyed and who to be the ones that are doing, that are following their commands? I mean, there's always going to be a hierarchy. There's always going to be winners and losers. There's always going to be the leaders and then the listeners. That's just going to be, that's a given. I think that's nature. I guess really in a civilized society, the best form of a civilized society, we should have a good way of figuring out who is who and how to make it as fair as possible. So I'm going to agree with that. Had to move the camera again because the battery keeps dying. Jesus, I need a better system here. This probably looks like shit. I mean, it has to look like shit if I'm the one on the screen, right? Ha ha ha! Self-deprecation is humor. You're so funny. Now you're self-deprecating for how much you're self-deprecating. Get out of your head. Okay. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Kind of goes back to my David Lynch video. I mean, again, it is an incredibly vague and sort of stupid question. So, look, my gut's just telling me agree. Like, sorry. Say something or don't waste my time, he says as he goes on in making the video that is wasting everyone's time. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Well, that's... No. Like, if there's a way for rehabilitation to occur, then that should be the goal. If it is an impossibility, like someone has the pre-programming of a pedophile and you know that as soon as you let them go, they're just going to fucking salivate over the next little boy they see, well, then there really isn't much room for rehabilitation there, but still, rehabilitation should be the goal. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I guess I kind of just said that. Certain people, it is a waste of time to rehabilitate. But it still should be the goal. So I'm not sure exactly what they're asking in this question, but I'm going to strongly agree. I don't know. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. That's very nice of them to say business person and not businessman. Can't have sexist language in this test. I'm sure originally it was businessman and then someone complained. We know where they are in the political compass, don't we? Okay, so the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the artist and the writer. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to have to disagree with that one. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Okay, like, a part of me wants to say agree, but they use the word homemaker. If you have your career and you can afford to pay someone else to be your homemaker, I think that's fine. That's totally fine. As long as, like, your primary goal once you become a mother or a parent in general is to be a parent. If you can still have your career and make sure that your kids have decent lives, I think it's totally fine if you focus, as long as your kids are getting fed and aren't being neglected, even if you're paying someone else to do it, I think that's fine. But still, it is a mother's primary goal to be a mother. I just don't like the way this is worded, so I'm going to fuck again. I just want to I disagree. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they are. I mean, probably. But a lot of those developing countries, like, a lot of them just like, hey, I mean, fucking Coca-Cola's here cutting down all our trees, and I'm only making like 10 cents in the factory, but like, fuck, that's 10 more cents than I was making before the factory came here. So like, there's more to it. There's more to it, but sure, agree. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. More points to the authoritarian side, I'm sure. You see somebody like 19 years old and they're like, oh, fuck the system, fuck the pigs, man. It's like, okay, well, you'll grow up eventually. There's more to it than that, Junior. 5 of 6. You got through that okay. You'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Astrology accurately explains many things. That's the fucking, like, when your birthday is somehow, because of, like, they charted a birthday as, like, a certain part of the sky is, like, where the month is. I assume the sun goes along, and the people sort of find different shapes of dots that aren't even on the same plane. Like, if we were on a different planet, it wouldn't, if we were over here a little bit, it wouldn't look like a snake anymore. And who's to say that that little swoosh thing is a snake? Maybe it's a fucking rope. Maybe it's an eel. Maybe it's the horn of a bull. And who's to say that the horn of a bull represents certain human characteristics? Like, who said the lion is courageous? It's no. Fuck no. Fuck no. strongly disagree. I'm sorry to all the astrology people out there. I didn't mean to offend you. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I mean, I guess it really depends on how you're defining charity, but seeming it's not like the rest of these have like sort of a religious spin to them, I'm just going to say disagree. I don't know. I mean, the bureaucracy can really fuck it up, but also it's like I've seen a lot of churches do a lot of fucked up. Why is this family getting this and this? And the whole notion of charity, like the whole, you know, like gifts make slaves things. I don't really see it as genuine ever. I don't know. Okay, next question. I'm thinking about this way too much. Some people are naturally unlucky. Like me right now, when someone just opens my door and just disrupts my sound, that was very unlucky. But do you want to know who's more unlucky? Fucking people that are like born in, people that are born in China, people that are born in the Middle East. Yes, people are naturally unlucky. Life is unfair. Strongly agree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Holy shit, I couldn't disagree with that more. Next page. Finally, a look at sex. Oh, gee. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I'm going to have to disagree with that one. Marriage is kind of, well, I mean, you know, you've seen how I've answered these other questions. Like, you know what I'm going to say here. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of adoption. Strongly agree. A lot of kids need to be adopted. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Who thinks it shouldn't be legal? Like, I get, like, if you have, like, some moral issues with it, but, like, you think it should be fucking illegal? I mean, of course it should be. Okay. What goes on in a private bedroom between two consenting adults is no business of the state. Also agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I love the way that question is worded. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Gonna have to disagree with that one. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. You know, you like pride parades and like free the nipple and like it's really fucking annoying. But like I wouldn't say that it's gone too far. But you know, I'm not gonna give a strong answer on this one. I'm just going to normally disagree, not strongly disagree. Cool. That was the last one. Let's see where I stand. Yeah, I understand your shit. I get it. Okay. Blah blah blah. Oh boy. Shit. That's very left and very libertarian, like the exact same place where Gandhi was. I don't know. I think I'm more authoritarian. Like, I had a whole rant about how, like, I don't think people should be able to have kids unless the state approves it. But, like, I guess I didn't let that bias actually affect my answer so much. I guess if this is where the test places me, then so be it. Okay, the video isn't over yet. As I was editing it, a friend of mine, the friend who originally suggested that I do a political compass test, he said, actually, wait, before you make your video, there's a better political compass test. But as you can see by watching this far into the video, I've already based my video off of the first political compass test that he sent me. So I took the other political compass test right now, and the image you're seeing on the screen that I should be editing in... the
battery's gonna die.
The battery's gonna die.
It's blinking, yeah.
It's blinking. Well, you know, we're just gonna push through. I just gotta get this through. God damn it. We're finishing this video. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm a little more authoritarian as I predicted, but as you can see on the progressive versus conservative, I'm still more progressive. I am still on the left. More of a centrist, which is something that I'm happy with. I think the smartest people are centrist. That sounds bad. Jesus, I should have planned this. I think if you take an average of this test that I just took and the test that I based this whole video on, I think if you take an average of those tests, you get something resembling where I am politically. So I'm still somewhere on the left. Right? Good? I fucking hope so.